Hey y'all. So today I want to maybe give a little bit of information about the chronic illness that I am challenged with. This illness affects a lot of people. It tends to hit mostly women, and it is a mother. Okay, yes, that's what I'm going to say. It's a mother. Anyway, if this is your first time coming to my channel, I just want to say welcome. And if you are returning, I want to say welcome back, family, because that is what we are here. We are here as a community to support and encourage each other. I am an over 50 traveler, lover of life, former mental health professional, social worker, and yeah, I'm trying to make the best of all the days that I have. So I started this YouTube channel just recently in order to help others feel less alone in their journey, whether it is a physical challenge, journey, dealing with chronic illness, or any other thing that's going on in your life, or if you have the desire to travel and haven't stepped out on courage, yet, or just feeling a little bit down and need a little bit of entertainment. I'm here for all of that. Okay, so today, as I'm in a recovery period from a recent flare up of my condition, I thought it was a proper opportunity for me to explain to you what I am facing. So, what I have is called fibromyalgia, and it may um, be called some different things, and it kind of overlaps with a few other illnesses. So people have a tendency to kind of bunch them all together. It is a chronic illness that affects the central nervous system and causes you to experience pain in a different way. It's like your brain is sending signals that what you're experiencing is like more severe, um, and the pain is real. They don't know what causes it. They don't know what causes it, and like I said, because it has some similar symptoms to a few other illnesses, sometimes you have a hard time getting diagnosed. So one of the things that they sort of overlap, that fibromyalgia overlaps with, is chronic fatigue syndrome. So some people are more familiar with chronic fatigue syndrome, or CFS. Some people know about fibromyalgia. Some call it FMS. I wrote down some other names that they sometimes use. They sometimes say fibromyositis syndrome, fibrositis, myofascial pain syndrome. Yeah, FMS, fibromyalgia. I've always called it fibromyalgia. And yeah, when I was introduced to it originally, when I had the very first flare up that I experienced, the doctor literally said to me, "You have some mystery virus." Like, I was like, "What?" Like, it just sounded so strange because there was really no explanation for what I was going through, but somehow or other, my body was like, "Nope, we're not doing this." So, the cause is unknown and there's no cure. How about that? Yeah, so the cause is unknown and it's more common in women than men, as I stated. Um, some of the things that they kind of think you also might have had is they sometimes think you have anemia or mononucleosis. Like, I've never had mono, but when I explain to people like what I'm feeling and I say that I feel like I have the flu, that is very similar to people who get mono. Like, they kind of say the same thing. Like, they feel this overall like whole body like pain and sluggishness and just feeling of unwellness, you know, and you can't explain it. Yeah. So like they say mono is like that. I've never had it, but I can tell you that when I'm trying to describe it to people what I'm going through, I often say it feels like I have the flu. And people seem to understand that. But they also mistake it for sometimes hypothyroidism. I don't know if I said anemia, but yeah. I'm just trying to make sure I get out. Oh, as far as diagnosis, yeah. So there's no test that you can take that's going to tell them, you know, directly like, oh yes, this is a person with fibromyalgia. They're usually looking at your medical history, like that you've had this complaint of this ongoing pain for more than 3 months, that you have certain tender points. They used to just look at the tender points, but now they realize that on any given day you might have 8 pain points, you might have 15, you might have 18 today and 3 tomorrow. It is so random. It is so random. Although they do say that there may be some foods or some activities, some things that can maybe trigger it, stress, you know, other things that kind of go into it. But in my particular case, the journey to finding out it was fibromyalgia was a rough one. I had TMJ. I think the first thing, okay, no, if I think back, the first incident was when I had this 105 fever. I was in so much pain. I felt like I was dying. I thought there was something so seriously wrong with me. And when I got to the urgent care, the doctor, because of the high fever, they sent me to the hospital. And the hospital put me in quarantine because they thought I might have, what is it? This is the thing about not being able to remember things. They thought I had something that's contagious. It'll come to me. But so they put me in quarantine because of that, and they did a CAT scan on my brain, and I didn't have any brain swelling, so they ruled it out. I can't think of what it's called right now. But anyway, I had that. I didn't have that, but they thought I had that. That's what I wanted to say. So yeah, and I was down that time for 3 weeks. It was 3 weeks, and like I said, and the doctor said I had this mystery virus, which was like really strange to me. Like, what? Like, you don't expect a doctor to tell you, like, they don't know what it is, like they don't have a clue, like a mystery virus. I just thought that was the most bananas thing. But anyway, fast forward, I was working as a social worker, and I was actually doing crisis work. Really interesting. So it was a lot of stress, a lot of stuff kind of going on, and I started having this issue with my mouth. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I had TMJ, temporomandibular. It's a jaw problem. And I was literally talking like this because my jaw hurt so bad. It was like locked up. It was like unbelievable. I don't know. I don't know what was going on. I was like, what? So of course I have a mouth problem. I went to the dentist. The dentist said I needed a mouth guard. So I get the mouth guard, and it was like one of these custom mouth guards, you know, oh, this will take care of it. And he said I was grinding my teeth in my sleep. So I was like, okay. So I get this expensive mouth guard. It was several $100s, and this was like, I don't know, 15, 17 years ago. So I can only imagine what it costs now. But yeah, so I get this mouth guard and everything. Within 30 days, I had cracked through that mouth guard, okay? Because that's how much I was clenching in the night. I was clenching so hard in the night that I broke the mouth guard. Okay, so I had the TMJ. I also was suffering with migraines. And, you know, you have a headache, you take something for the headache. I also had early on been diagnosed with IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. So I just, you know, was taking, at the time they were prescribing me some Donatol, because I used to always say, oh, and let me say this, I'm not a medical expert or anything like that. Consult your doctor. Don't just try to take anything or get something from somewhere that you don't know or whatever. I'm just telling you about my journey. So just please keep that in mind. I am not giving any kind of medical advice. I'm just telling you the journey that I had to getting to understand what I was going through. So I had I was taking Donatol for the stomach issues. Now, it doesn't prevent the stomach issues, but what it did do was it didn't make that griping feeling, it helped that it didn't feel so bad. Like, I didn't so much mind having to go to the bathroom a million times, but I hated the pain, that griping pain that came with it. And any sort of stress would bring it on. Like, I had gone back to school to get my master's, and I can tell you that there were times when I would have a test, and I guess the stress of everything would bring it on. And I would be like, this is crazy. So now I'm trying to write, do everything fast so that I can get out of there. This was what I was, going through. So I had the IBS, I had the TMJ. On top of everything else, I had insomnia. And I looked at all of these things as something separate. I had acid reflux, something separate. I had postnasal drip, something separate. Then I had this pain. I kept telling people, like, I can't have a heavy blanket. I have to keep something very light because the blanket is heavy. They're like, heavy? A blanket? Like, what? Like, nobody understood. And then I was like, I have to sleep with my feet hanging off the bed because if I don't, I can't rest at all. Again, heavy blanket, but also the pressure of the weight of my feet, the weight of my leg against the bed was too much. I'm just telling you, this was like the journey to understanding what I was going through was just because I really at some point thought I was going crazy. And you know how I came to that conclusion? The good old doctors. I was getting people who were telling me, like, oh, it's all in your head. Flashback to me having endometriosis years earlier. So when I was in my early 20s, I had endometriosis, but I basically diagnosed my darn self, which is ridiculous because they don't listen to women, and especially women of color, when I'm telling them that I'm having these unbelievably painful periods. I was like, this is crazy, right? I'm going through all of this stuff, and I don't know how to articulate it well enough to medical professionals that it would be possible for me to get real help. I'm telling them what I'm experiencing, but they're like, yeah, we don't think and a doctor told me it is all in your head. And I was like, what? Yes, that was the first time. So when I had this endometriosis, which I diagnosed myself with when I started doing all the research and such and such and such and such. And then I came to a doctor who happened to be a resident, and I told her, I said, yeah, I think I have endometriosis. And she said, well, there's a problem. And I said, well, what's the problem? And then she said, well, in order to confirm that you have endometriosis, they're going to need to do an exploratory surgery procedure, a laparoscopy, right? And they won't do the laparoscopy unless they know for sure that you have endometriosis. So I said, this is a catch-22 situation. So I'm really just screwed. Is that what you're telling me? I was like, this is outrageous. It was outrageous. They would give me like basic tests. Like they gave me, why can't I think of the name of the test? Oh my word. Yeah, they gave me this, it'll come to me. They gave me this test to check, to see if I, when you're pregnant, like a sonogram. They gave me like a sonogram, but they gave me like an intravaginal sonogram, and they, supposedly were able to look around or whatever, and they determined that no, you don't have endometriosis because you don't have the typical chocolate cyst. There's like, they usually could see these dark spots, and they figured that's where the lesions are, right? So they said I didn't have that, so it couldn't be endometriosis. So anyway, after I had went through like all the doctors, all the gynecologists in this practice, I had gone so many times to the emergency room. I had gone through all of these different things. And when I finally get to this one doctor who was the head of the department, by chance, this doctor had a free space in their schedule, and I had seen everybody else. So they finally sent me to this one doctor. And let me just tell you, this doctor was a godsend, okay? I sat there and I was just so over it. I was so over it, not being heard and not being, trusted to know my own body or whatever. I was a young woman in her 20s, and they don't automatically assume that there's anything majorly wrong with you except maybe up here, right? And, At that time I wasn't a mental health professional. And so, I just went in there like not expecting anything, and I just basically said, this is what I'm experiencing. I've been experiencing it for this long. They told me that I had PID, but I don't. They gave me all these antibiotics and it didn't help. Nothing helped. I said it has gone from me having a painful period to now I have pain the week before my period, and I have pain the week after my period. So imagine 3 weeks out of 4, I was suffering, couldn't get out of my bed on many days. And when I did, I was just miserable. 3 weeks out of 4. So anyway, as I told this doctor my story, he just sat there listening intently and said, I have a sneaky suspicion that you might have endometriosis. I said, that's what I think. He said, I'm going to send you for an MRI. Sends me for an MRI, finds out that on top of the endometriosis, I also have a huge cyst the size of a flippin' orange on my left ovary. Now, I didn't have these sonograms and such. They didn't see anything, right? It's all in my head, but I knew it was something else. Anyway, I had to have a laparotomy, which is where they make an incision like straight down from your navel, okay? And so a straight down cut as opposed to a laparoscopy where they make these like really small incisions in order to look around and, even treat you, but they make these really small incisions. But I had to have this full laparotomy done because he said, I don't know what to expect, and I have to, remove the left ovary and the cyst and such, blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay, and he made me sign a form and said, in case we have to remove, like give you a full hysterectomy, we want to make sure that you give us permission or whatever, but he would do everything to preserve my reproductive ability. And I had always said I didn't want kids, so I wasn't really worrying about that part, but this was the issue. So fast forward, I have the surgery. He says it's the worst case of endometriosis he had ever seen in his life. He said I had lesions everywhere. On my stomach, on my bowels, every organ that he could see through this incision as he was looking around, there were just a multitude of lesions. This is when they were telling me it was all in my head. So when I tell you this story for you to understand that by the time I'm having these issues, these pain issues, years later, well, like I said, probably the first real flare-up happened shortly thereafter, this endometriosis thing. But when I'm having this pain issue and the doctor tells me it's all in your head, I'm pissed off. Because I'm knowing I've been down this road before with somebody not listening to what I'm saying, people not giving credence to me understanding what I'm going through. Now, when I'm telling you that I have to hang my feet off the bed, when I'm telling you I can't take the weight of a blanket, when I'm telling you I have all of these headaches and this pain in my body, I feel like my head is too heavy for my neck to hold it up. When I'm telling you that I'm experiencing all of these different kinds of pains in these different places, and you are not trying to figure out what could possibly be causing it, and you're only telling me that it's in my head, you're making me feel some kind of way. And I told that doctor, because at this point, here I am, a clinical social worker, okay? And I, I was a licensed clinical social worker in the state that I was in. And I was telling, I'm like, listen, I know how to assess people, and I know you can't social work yourself, but if it was in my head, if I really felt like there was something else that would be the reason, the impetus for all of this pain, surely I would share that with my medical professional, because that would be to my benefit. And I was insulted again, okay? And this time I'm like 40-ish. I don't remember the exact year, but I'm like 40-ish. Like, what? So, yeah. So anyway, I got off track, but I just want you to understand the history of what I had experienced. And this is the reason why I knew that I had to advocate for myself, because nobody is going to advocate for you like you need to. Okay. Maybe like you, maybe not like you do, but like you need to. Okay. So anyway, as I said before, the causes of fibromyalgia are unknown. It's more prevalent in women than it is in men. It tends to hit you somewhere between 20 and 50. Some of the symptoms include IBS, TMJ, insomnia, chronic pain, widespread pain. You can often have pain in your legs, in your arms, in your head, chest, abdomen, back, and your buttocks. That's another thing. Can you imagine having pain sitting down? Like, how are you working at a computer, where a lot of times I was, or driving in your car, and you can't even like sit, like it hurts to sit. Like, I just want people to kind of grasp what I'm saying. I had to stop driving because you hold the steering wheel like this, and I had to prop my arm on the side of the door in order to be able to try to hold the steering wheel. Do you understand what I'm saying? I could not hold my own arms up because the pain was so intense. Okay? All right. All right. On the cognitive side of things, like I said, you might have what they call fibro fog. You might forget a lot of things. I often just say I don't feel like myself. Like, I feel like like I'm faded, and not faded in the high sense, but faded in the, like, it's not my whole self. It's like a portion of me that's kind of understanding or recognizing, seeing things or whatever. It is like it is a surreal experience. That's what I want to say. So as you're trying to understand what you're going through, you often are plagued by depression, anxiety, guilt, shame, all kinds of things you're feeling because you're going through this and you don't even know what it is. Nobody believes you. You're telling people you're feeling this kind of way, and people are like, sure, whatever. And it's not cute. It's not cute when people don't believe you and they don't have compassion or empathy, and you don't want to be pitied. You just want to feel better. Like, that's the thing. That is the real thing that I want people to know. But the journey to understanding what I had was a journey. Then the journey to try to get treatment that was effective for what I had, a whole other journey. The journey of living with this thing, this is, again, a mother. It is outrageous. I'm going to tell you, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. It is outrageous. Things that can affect your fibromyalgia. Are you ready? Changes in weather. If it's hot, you can have a flare. If it's cold, you can have a flare. If it's raining, you can have a flare. If it's too dry, you can have a flare. Like, what? Are you serious? Okay, so basically every day you can have a flare. Overexertion. You did too much, just like me. I did laundry. Like, for most people, doing laundry, like, not a big deal, right? Yeah, I did laundry, which I hadn't done in a long time because I didn't want to overexert myself, which is exactly what happened. I overexerted myself, boom, flare up. Okay. Mental stress. And this is the thing that's crazy. Good stress is what we call eustress. So it can be stress, distress, or eustress. So something good can happen and get a flare up. Something bad can happen and get a flare up. This is the reason why they say, like, oh, it's something mental, and yes, there is a mental component to it for sure. But even when I'm trying to be mind over matter, I understand cognitive behavioral therapies and all different kinds of things, and I understand. I'm a mental health professional. I understand these things. But the reality is, if I could miraculously change what was going on, I would have done it by now. I cannot stop this pain from happening. And that is with me having the knowledge that I have, okay? Being in the profession that I was. So trust and believe, yeah, you can't social work yourself. Hormonal changes can also affect it. Any kind of an illness can bring it on. Any kind of an injury can bring it on. Even changes in the treatment that you're getting for other medical situations can bring on a flare. How about that? Okay? And typically when I have a flare, I have like throbbing pain. I have my feet feel like they're burning, which is usually that's the thing that lets me know, oh snap, this is going wrong. When I start to feel burning on the bottom of my feet, that's when I already know something is coming. Now, how bad it's going to be, I don't know yet. I have had flares that lasted a couple of days. I've had flares that have lasted a couple of weeks. And I even had a flare that scared the stew out of me, where I blacked out while walking down the street, fell on my face, broke my tooth. Oh, it's this one. Broke my tooth and was down for months. Okay? Yeah. Months, okay? Yeah. I just want people to maybe think about what I'm saying to you, and if you're experiencing it for yourself, you know that you're not alone. But also, if you know somebody who's experiencing something like that, have some compassion, have a heart, have some understanding. You understand? I mean, some empathy. Put yourself in their shoes, because it is no joke. What I'm talking about, this is miserable. It's miserable. Okay. What you can do if you have it. There is no cure. As I stated before, they don't know the cause, and there is no cure. So this is something that you can have ongoing. And oftentimes it's comorbid. Like you have something else going on with it. Like you have arthritis. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. Okay. And I've always dealt with the joint pain, having these issues going on. So I don't know if that is a precursor to having fibromyalgia. I'm not really sure, but they do think that there may be some genetic component to it. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Let me say. They say what you can do if you have it. They say don't fight it. Basically, deal with the fact that you have it. Try to rest. Try to eat right. Try to sleep. The sleep disturbance is going to mess you around. I'm going to tell you that part. I haven't had solid sleep unaided in 25 years. I haven't had solid sleep unaided in 25 years. I used to take something, I can't think of the name of it now, but remember people were having going to 7-Eleven and they done drove in a nightgown and did all this other stuff. I used to take that. I can't think of what that medicine was called, but I used to take that because I couldn't sleep. I was not sleeping well at all. And like I said, insomnia is one of those things that you tend to have. So now I do sleep, but I don't sleep deep sleep for long. I can be awakened so easily. So I usually sleep like maybe 2 to 3 hours solid. And so I may end up having to do that a couple of times. Now, another thing that I tend to have, and this I'm getting all kind of personal, but hey, if you know or love someone who is experiencing this, or you also know what I'm talking about. So another thing that when I tend to be not doing as well, I tend to have like an overactive bladder. So on top of the IBS, I tend to have overactive bladder. So that joker want to flare up when I'm sleeping, when I'm trying to sleep. So typically when I wake up, I'm going to the bathroom. There have been nights where I have gone to the bathroom 6 times. 6 times. So you can only imagine trying to sleep. You already don't sleep good. And then you got to go to the bathroom all the time. Joy. Yeah. So what you can do if you have it, don't fight it. Don't overdo it on your good days. This is the key that I've learned over the years. Don't overdo it on your good days. I don't care what anybody else is telling you. Yes, you do need to get out and about, and I don't do the best job of it. I will admit that freely. But just because somebody else can, hike a mile doesn't mean you can. Sometimes you can't walk 5 blocks. It is what it is. And you have to kind of know yourself. I'm not saying that you don't ever push yourself, but you never push yourself to the point where you are thinking like this is too much. When you know that this is too much, you stop right there. You have to stop right there. So not overdoing it is key to ensuring that you don't have this super duper flare up, right? Like you could already be experiencing stuff, but you having a good day, so you're thinking, oh yeah, I should try and do as much as I can. Yeah, that can bite you in the butt, because having that one good day that makes you feel like you can, conquer the world could also put you on your back for weeks or months. So keep that in mind. Get some regular exercise, get enough sleep, and de-stress whenever possible. Me personally, I try to find the humor in a lot of things. I try to laugh a lot, and that's how I try to de-stress. I try not to hold things in. I tell people it is physically painful for me to hold things in, and I think that is one of the reasons why I am so, tell it like it is, get it off your chest, kind of that way. People don't. I don't require people to have to guess. My face usually says it all. Yes. Yes. So there's a variety of medications out there that you could be prescribed. Again, I'm not a medical professional. Go talk to your doctor. Go get your own help. Do what you need to do for yourself. I am taking 2 medications on a daily basis for my fibromyalgia, and I see my doctor regularly to monitor my progress. He always says that I'm doing so much better, because I had been given years ago, I had been given one of the medications, and I said it doesn't work. It didn't work. I used it. It didn't work. And come to find out, I was not taking anywhere near the dosage that would be necessary. Just by chance, I was on vacation. I was in Germany, but we took a little trip to Budapest, Hungary, and one of the guys on the trip was a doctor from Canada, and I was having like a little bit of a flare, and I was explaining that I had fibromyalgia, and he was telling me that with the dosage that he was giving to patients that he typically saw, and I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, I can't imagine that you're getting any real relief with the doses that you're taking. I was like, oh. So when I came back, and my doctor, who was not like this is my primary care physician, who's not like a rheumatologist, who typically is the person who you would see who might help you to kind of travel this road or whatever. But my primary care physician, I talked to him about it, and he said, yeah, we can definitely increase the dosage and see if it's more helpful. But he gave me that medication, and he gave me another with it, another one that's commonly prescribed. I'm not for big pharma. Like, I was really trying to do everything under the sun besides take medications. I was doing like this greens drink that I was doing, and it really did help. I'm not gonna lie. The greens drink helped a lot, but that was another expense. Isn't that something? You can get insurance for pharmaceutical help, right? But you can't get anything to help you with these other types of things that might be of assistance, like a healthier diet. Like if they said, oh, you need to eat all organic foods, like a gluten-free diet, you need an organic diet. Like, they're not going to give you any extra money to cover that, right? And the same thing with this greens drink that I was having, like this nutritional supplement. No, they weren't going to pay for that. And it was, over time, it was just very expensive for me. But it did help me somewhat. So I take these medications. I try to rest when I can. And yes, it's the reason why I slow travel, which I mentioned in a video before. So I don't put my life on hold because I don't know how many good days I'm going to have. I don't put my life on hold. I instead try to live within my means, do what I can do on the good days. And by doing what I can do, I feel accomplished. I try not to overdo it. I try to know what my limits are, recognize the signs of things kind of going left, and I try to stay within those boundaries, right? I just try to be more in tune with what I'm going through. But I still try to do. I travel because I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow. So that's why I travel today. And that's why I'm encouraging everybody to do what you need to do today, because tomorrow isn't promised. Not just that you won't be here, but that you might not be here in the way that you are today. You may not feel as good as you do today. So don't put it off for tomorrow. Don't someday when I retire. Listen, fibromyalgia retired me when I didn't think I was going to be retired. So I went from life was wonderful financially to, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But by the grace of the universe was very kind to me, and the grace of friends and family, I haven't had a hungry day or an unhoused day, right? So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that. That attitude of gratitude will get you far. That's what I'm going to say. That attitude of gratitude will get you far. So, yeah, I just want to tell you, living with chronic illness is no joke. It is very difficult. Fibromyalgia has me on my butt sometimes. I'm grateful that this particular situation with me doing my laundry has only had me down for a couple of days. And I hope that it will get better very soon and I'll be back, in full swing. I'm grateful that today I have much more energy than I had yesterday. I am hoping that tomorrow is going to be even better. And, hey, at least I got clothes on today. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a pajama party for me. It was a pajama party for me. It was like, some days when I'm not doing well, it's all that I can do to take a shower. During that period that I mentioned where I had fallen and I was, down for months, and I mean I'm telling you, really down for months, it was all that I could do to shower every other day, every 3 days. I'm telling you, it was all that I could do. I couldn't prepare food because I couldn't stand up that long. I tell you, I just laid in my bed and I cried like so many days. And I remember saying to my mother, this is not a life. This is not a life. I remember that so clearly. And the funny thing is that as I came out of that particular situation, that particular flare, which was just horrific, it increased my resolve. It increased my resolve to travel, because at that point, I think I had been to Europe and traveled to many countries. I'd been all over the Caribbean, and I had, I'm just trying to remember. I think I had been to South America. Even when I left South America, it was because I had a really bad flare. I had been doing bad for a couple of weeks, and I just decided like I need to come back. But I had yet to visit Asia and Africa. And I will tell you that the reason why I did what I did, what led to me, having those experiences, was because of that bad situation. I said, I don't know when I am going to feel good again. I don't know when I'm going to feel good again. And since I don't know, I have no idea. I have zero clue. I need to do what I can while I can. and doors opened. And that is the really the message that I want to get across, that even in your darkest time, there's some light. As Maya Angelou said, there's a rainbow in your cloud. There's a rainbow in your cloud. Yep. So anywho and anyhow, I thank you for hanging with me this long, because this is one of the longer videos that I've ever recorded. And yeah, but I just wanted to share with you kind of my journey, what I'm going through, and how I'm managing chronic illness. I'm managing financial struggle. But I'm making it. And when you open yourself up to the possibilities, you never know what can happen. In spite of everything, I have done so much more with so much less than I could have ever imagined. When I had money, I had zero time. I was working 60, 70 hours a week and there was no end in sight. I was doing retail therapy to make myself feel better. Didn't even realize, what I was going through. I was just doing the most, getting the least. Yep, I was. So I want this to be a message really of an opportunity for information, but also a lesson of you can do it. Whatever it is, fill in your own blank, okay? Fill in your own blank. Whatever it is. For me, it's travel. That's my passion, right? Travel and helping people. And when I can mix those two together, honey, this international social worker makes it happen. You better know it. Okay? Yes, indeed. So, anyway, I just want to say thank you very much for spending this time with me. It means the world to me that I get to share my world with you. And I hope that you will come back and just check out whatever I'm talking about. I'm, on this channel, I'm trying to give you some quick travel tips. I'm trying to give you some encouragement to pursue whatever your passion is. I am telling you that it ain't over till it's over. Be encouraged. Feel supported. I want us to create a sense of community here. I want us to, uplift each other, okay, through this whole thing. And if you've gotten this far and you haven't liked this video, por qué? Like, why? Why not? Okay? Like this video. Share this video. There's somebody out there that you know who needs to hear this, okay? Share this video. And by all means, subscribe, okay? Subscribe to the crazy lady with the crazy hair and glasses. Yes. Because life is for living, and not for tomorrow, but for today. Make memories. Making money is okay, but it ain't lasting, because you can only spend it once. Make memories. That's all I got to say today. Ciao for now.